So today we're going to do something that at first looks pretty intimidating, but once you get it down, it's actually not hard at all. We're not going to do example 4 because as I've done example 4 before, I don't like how difficult it is that early, so we're going to skip that one, all right? But what we're going to do today is learn how to divide polynomials, all right? And if I just started showing you the notes for this right now and you just looked at it, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that looks really hard. But once you see it, it's actually not that bad, yeah? So what I'm going to do, don't write this, just pay attention. Let's go back in time when you learned, I don't know, that. Remember that? All right. I want you to go, we're going to go through the steps, and you might want to ignore me right now, but I want you to go through the steps because once you remind yourself of what these steps were, guess what you do with polynomials? Exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. All right? So if you already have that algorithm down, this is not going to be hard. Yeah? When you get into Algebra 2 and into pre-cal, you'll learn some other ways of doing these. But you basically are doing what I'm about to teach you. Yeah? All right. So what did we do back then? We said, did 6 go into 2? No. You either put an X, I don't know, some teachers taught to put an X there or put a 0 there. I don't know what they did. I'm going to put a 0 there. Yeah? Because 6 does not go into 2. Then what'd you do? Does it go into 28? Okay, now think about what you did. You did 28 divided by 6, right? And that's why you had to know your times tables. You had to learn multiplication before you could do division because you had to know your times tables. How many times does 28, how many times does 6 go into 28?
4.
Okay, so 4 times. So you wrote a 4 there, remember that? Now stop and think. Then what'd you do?
You subtracted 28.
Nope, you didn't. Nope, you didn't. You did something first. You're kind of there. What do I subtract? Okay, where's the 24 coming from?
6 times 4.
Okay, so you're taking whatever this number was, yeah? Whatever that number was, and you multiply it by that number, right? 4 times 6? 24, yeah? And then what? You subtracted it. And that told you how much was left, yeah? There was 4 left. And you bring down the next digit, 6, yeah? And then what'd you do? You did 46 divided by 6, which is 7. Then what'd you do? You took that 7, you multiplied it by what you were dividing by, the divisor, and what'd you get? What'd you do with the 42? And you got 2.
No,
4 if you're not bad at math. 4. Yeah? Okay, so you got 47, remainder 4. But there's a better way to write this. I don't know if your teacher taught this. We're not going to turn it into a decimal. We're going to say that's 47 and 4 parts out of 6 remaining. That's actually 47 and 4/6, which is really what? 47 and 2/3. Yeah? That makes sense? So what did I do? I took the remainder and I put it over the number I was dividing by. And that became my fraction. Yeah? Okay, go back in time. How did you test to make sure those were right? How did you check them? You did something back then. What did I multiply?
47.
I did 47 times 6. Yeah? If I do 47 times 6, 2, 4, 24 plus 4 is 28. I get 282. Yeah, but the answer was 286. But I had a remainder of 4, so if I add 4 to it, I get 286, and that's the way you could have checked it back then. And you probably did check them back then. Yeah? If you understand the division algorithm, you can do long division. Yeah? Which is what we're about to do. All right, so watch. We're going to do the exact same thing. So, first number in the house, right? So this is what? N squared plus 5n plus 6, yeah? All right, we're copying this now, yeah? What are we dividing by?
N plus 3.
N plus 3. We're dividing by n plus 3. Now watch what happens. This is where you got to take your time, okay? There's two pieces that are hard. What you're going to do is you're going to focus in on this part, and you're going to focus in on the first part from this. Make sense? And all you're going to do is go off to the side and do that. What is n squared divided by n? Now think this through. If you have to, write that as n times n over n. What would you do? You'd cancel the n. So what would be left? N. So it went in n times, right? Because n squared divided by n is n. You with me? Now go back in time, right? What do you do with that number? What did we just do? Nope, we didn't subtract it. We multiplied it by this, right? Remember that? You multiplied it by that? So you're going to multiply n times n plus 3. Make sense? What is n times n plus 3? N squared plus 3n. I'm going to write it there. Okay, let's stop there for a minute. Does that make sense what I've done so far? First step, I focused in on the first part. The 3 is just going to come along with it. Yeah? So say n squared divided by n goes in n times. Took the n, multiplied it by n plus 3. I got n squared plus 3n. Go back in time. That's what we did here, right? That's how we got this 24. What did we do with the 24? Okay, get caught up to me and look at me. Don't do anything else right now. We did what? We did 4 times 6. We got 24. What did we do with the 24? Subtracted. Did we just subtract the 2 or the 4? All of it. The 24. So you're going to subtract all of it. You're not going to subtract the n squared and add 3n. You're going to subtract the n squared and the 3n. Okay? From here, you're going to have to do this in your head a little bit. This is not hard. What is n squared minus n squared? 0. That's the whole point. You want it to be 0. That's what you're trying to do. If it's not 0, you broke math. Yes? So that's 0. It's gone. Yeah? Don't even write it. Then what are you doing? You're doing 5n minus 3n. Positive 3n. See how I said that? 5n minus a positive 3n? What's 5n minus a positive 3n? 2n. That's the remainder, yeah? Then what do I do mathematically? Bring down the 6. So now I have 2n plus 6. How's that different from the division algorithm? It's not. It's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. You with me? Okay, we do the same process again. Remember what we focus on. We focus on the n and the first part from this, yeah? What do we do with that? What do we do with that? We take the 2n and we divide it by n. 2. What kind of 2? Positive 2 or negative 2? So it's going to be plus 2. Yeah? You with me? What do I do with that 2? I take that number times what I was dividing by, so n plus 3. I multiply 2 times n plus 3. You get the rhythm now? What is 2 times n plus 3? 2n plus 6. What are you going to do with that number? What part of it, though? All of it. Subtract all of it. I get 2n minus 2n. Yay, that's what I wanted to do. I want that to be 0. If it's not 0, you messed up. And then 6 minus a positive 6. 0. What does that mean? There's no remainder. Can I check this? How? If I Punnett square this, if I Punnett square n plus 2 times n plus 3, I should get n squared plus 5n minus, or plus 6. Let's see. N times n squared, check. 2 times n, 2n. 3 times n, 3n. What's 2n, 3n? 2n, 3n. 5n, which is check. And 2 times 3? 6. So I get n squared plus 5n plus 6. Got it? What's my answer there? N plus 2 is my answer. When I divide n squared plus 5n plus 6, divide that by n plus 3, I get n plus 2. That makes sense? I want you to see this. You could actually see that. I'm going to do this. Tell me if this makes sense to you guys. No. Go away. Just the part I highlighted. If you delete the other part, I'm going to be mad. What did it delete? Up here somewhere, right? Am I okay? I think I'm okay. All right. Okay, so look up. Tell me if this makes sense to you. I'm going to write these coefficients. So the coefficient, whoa, not that one. There's a 1 here, right? So I'm going to think of this as 156. Does it make sense? So I'm going to think of this as 156 divided by, what coefficient here is 1? 13. Okay? That's what I'm looking at. But I'm actually going to write it like it's done here. So this is actually 100 plus 50 plus 6. When you did long division, you were actually doing this. They just shortcutted it for you. This is what you actually were doing. And what was 13 really in your mind? In my mind, 10 plus 3. Look what you do. You focus in on the first part. How many times does 10 go into 100?
10.
10 times, right? So you write that 10, right? Then what did you do? You multiply that. 10 times 10 plus 3. 100 plus 30. What'd you do with that? Subtracted it. What'd you get? 20. You brought down the 6. How many times does 10 go into 20? 2 times. So plus 2. Yeah? Then what'd you do with the 2? You multiplied it. 2 times 10 plus 3 would become 20 plus 6. Subtract it. 0. And you get 10 plus 2. 12. It is what you were doing. Yeah? You shortcutted this and called that 156. And then you did some magic in there. But you were really doing that. Yeah? If it works with numbers, which is beautiful, yeah? All right, example 2. Let's try it again. First of all, that should be an X, not an N. All right, what number goes in the house? Yeah, the number I'm dividing, x squared. I would spread it out a little bit, plus 3x minus 40. Don't cram this in there. And do not cram it on your homework tonight, because if you do that, you're going to make dumb mistakes. Spread it out like when you did this as a little kid. If your math teacher did it smart, when they were teaching you long division, they had you spread everything out so everything could line up right, yeah? All right, what do I focus in on? The x and the x squared, right? What am I going to do with that? I'm going to divide x squared by x. That should not be hard. What is x squared divided by x? X. So it goes in x amount of times, right? So I put an x there. What do I do with that x? Multiply that x by x squared what? Minus 5x, yeah? Oh, x squared minus, oh, wait. Multiply it by x times x minus 5, which becomes x squared minus 5x. And then I add them, yeah? Good. Subtract them. A couple people got it. Not everybody. You subtract what part of that, though? All of it. So you put it in parentheses. Be careful here. There's a double negative. Yeah? How do I visualize this? This is x squared minus x squared, which is? That was the point of that, to make it 0. Gone. What's the other part saying? It is not saying 3x minus 5x. It's saying 3x minus a negative 5x. Which is plus 5x, which makes this 8x. Stop and make sure you understand why it's 8. Bring down the negative 40. All right? All right. Around the room, make eye contact. So first step, right? What do I do from here? I focus in on the x with the what? Nope. Nope. What do I focus in on? Help me out, someone. The 8x. I'm going to look at those two pieces, yeah? The rest is just going to have to come with it, yeah? So I'm going to take 8x, and I'm going to divide it by x. What do you get? 8. What kind of 8? Positive 8. So I'm going to write plus 8, yeah? With me? All right, next person. What do I do with that 8? Take that 8 times, yes,
X plus 8.
that's right. So you're going to go off to the side and do 8 times x minus 5. What do I get? I get 8x minus 40. And what am I going to add them, subtract them? What part am I subtracting? That's the mistake people make. They forget to put parentheses around it, okay? If you can keep yourself from doing that, I think most of the rest people tend to not forget. Do the math for me. Good. Is 0. What's that mean? There's no remainder. So what's my answer?
X plus 8.
X plus 8. Is this hard? No. If you look at it, it looks complicated, huh?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it again. All right. All right, first step. What are we going to do? What do we look at? I'll let him do it. Look at the x squared with the what? With just the x. Good. So I'm going to do x squared divided by x. What does that make? X. I mean, technically, just like in long division, the x actually would have gone here. There would be nothing there. Because what you're saying is x minus 4 doesn't go into x squared. It goes into x squared plus x, right? So you really put it there. We can do it either way. I'm not really, place value is not the thing I'm worried about at this point, yeah? So we can write it there just so you can see it, but I don't care where you write it, all right? All right, what do I do with that x? Where are we at? What do I do with that x? By what? Multiply it by?
X minus 4.
Yeah, say it with confidence though. Like you're panicking. All right, what's that make? Well, we're going to subtract in a minute, but just tell me what it makes. X squared what? Minus 4x, and then we're going to subtract the whole thing like you said.
Then 5x.
5x. Stop for a minute. Everybody understand why it's 5x? Bring down the, not the 20, negative 20. Yeah? Next step? 5x divided by x. That's easy. What is it?
5.
What kind of 5? So plus 5. Good. What do I do with that? Multiply the 5 by what? X minus 4. Good. And we get 5x what? Minus 20. 20x? 20. Good. What do I do with that number? Subtract what part though? The whole thing. And what do I get here? So what? So is it positive 40 or negative 40? Good. Neither. What is it? If we get negative 20 minus a negative 20, that's negative 20 plus 20, which is 0. Then what can I do to make sure it's right? I can Punnett square x plus 5 by x minus 4, yeah? Got it? All right. All right, we're going to skip example 4. Let's go to example 5. Number 5, all right? This is going to be the first one I think that has a remainder, all right? All right. First number goes in the house, so 4x squared plus 8x plus 3 being divided by what? X plus 2, yeah? All right, where are we at? I think we're here, right? What do I focus in on?
The 4x squared.
I'm going to focus in on that with?
X.
All right, so I'm going to go off to the side and do that math, right? I get what? 4x squared divided by x. If you need to, write that as 4 times x over x, and it's real easy to do it then. What does that make?
4x.
I mean, I'm going to put the 4x here, but technically it goes here, yeah? So I'll technically put it there. What do I do with the 4x? Do you understand why it goes there? Because 4x does not go into 4x. 4x times x minus 2 does not go into 4x squared. It goes into the whole thing. Yeah? I don't really care about that at this point. All right, what do I do with it? Good job. And what do I make?
4x squared.
Good. Plus 8x. What do I do with that number? Subtract the whole thing. Something weird happens here, right? What does that make? 0. Bring down the 3. How many times is x plus 2 going to go into 3? It can't. I can't divide 3 by x plus 2. Yeah? So what does that mean? That's my remainder. It's remainder 3. The only way I could divide 3 would be if it was 3x, I could. And I'd have a negative. It'd be weird, but you'd have a negative remainder. But I have a remainder 3 because 3 cannot be divided by x plus 2. Yeah? You with me so far? Okay, now how do I write my answer? This is how you write it. 4x plus, what's the remainder?
3.
And what is 3 being divided by?
Divided by x over
X plus 2. That's the first time you're going to see this, yeah? That is your remainder. What did I do? I just wrote the number, and the remainder became over the number I was dividing by. Is that hard? All right, I could check it. What I would do, watch, is I would multiply 4x by x plus 2. I'm just going to do that quickly. That's 4x squared plus 8x, right? There's that. But I'm missing my 3. Where is it? It's my remainder. So add the remainder back, and there it is. Got it? All right, let's do it again. I'm going to make this problem a little bit harder. Let's get rid of the middle. So let's just make this x squared minus 54. All right, question. If I have the number 408 and I'm dividing it by, I don't know, whatever, 6. Since that 0 doesn't mean anything, I can just turn it into 48 divided by 6, yeah? No, unless you're drunk and really bad at math, like you're drunk and bad at math at the same time, that doesn't make any sense at all. So you can't just get rid of a place value. So everything has to have a place value, yes? So right now, this is a problem. If you start trying to divide this, you're going to run into a problem. In fact, don't copy this. I just want you to see. If you don't copy this, just watch. If I just write it like this, right? Watch what happens. I get x minus 8. I say x goes into x squared how many times? So, no. Yeah. X amount of time. Not one time, x times, yeah? Then you multiply. What do you get? X squared minus 8x. And you subtract it. But you can't. You see the problem? All right. So that's where you run into a problem. Everything, you need a place value, yeah? So the question is, what's the place value?
0x.
Plus 0x minus 54. You guys get it now? Is that hard? All right, now we can do it. Because now we can say x squared divided by x minus 8 goes in x times, yeah? Technically, it's one spot over. Don't care. What do I do? I do x times x minus 8. That should be real easy to do. What is this? X squared minus 8x. Notice now, what did it do for me? It gave me a place value that lines up. You see how the place values line up now? The x squareds are lining up and the x's are lining up. Get it? Subtract the whole thing. Don't forget to subtract the whole thing. So what does this become? 8x. So this becomes 8x, bring down the 54. Stop there for a minute. Does that make sense? Make sense? Okay. Now what do? I do 8x divided by 8x divided by. What do I focus in on? I only focus in on this and this. The rest just comes along for the ride. Yeah? So 8x divided by which is 8. Positive 8 or negative 8? Positive 8, yeah? What do I do with the 8? X minus 8. I can do this almost in my head now. That's 8x. That's the whole point of this. What? Minus 64. What am I doing with that number? Subtracting the whole thing. Be careful here. Be very careful here. Would it? I'd have negative 54 minus a negative 64. Sorry, negative 54 minus a negative 64, which is negative 54 plus 64, which is positive 10. So I get a remainder of 10. You can have negative remainders with polynomials, okay? And what do you do with it? Instead of adding 10 over x minus 8, you do minus 10 over x minus 8, yeah? So what's my final answer?
X plus 8.
X plus 8 plus 10 over
X minus 8.
X minus 8. And that's my final answer. And it looks like an impressive answer. It looks like you're good at math answer. That hard? All right. We are not going to have enough time to go through all of these. Let me do 10. Actually, I'm not going to change this to an X here. I'm not going to do this problem. What is this problem saying? It's division. So it's really just saying this. You would do this problem just like every other problem, right? That's a pretty simple one. I'm not going to do it with you. Yeah? Easy? All right. The next one looks like it's harder, but it's actually easier. In fact, if I put these in the notes, this would be the easiest one to do. Okay? I don't need a place value for this. Okay? And you'll see why in a minute. So 12x squared plus 4x minus 14 being divided by 2x. It's actually easier. What do I focus in on? The 12x squared with the whole thing, 2x. All right, well that's easy. What is 12x squared divided by 2x? 6x. Good, so 6x. What do I do with the 6x? Multiply it by the 2x, which is 12x squared. Subtract it. See what's happening? Which is 0. Bring down the 4x. See why this is easier? How many times does 2x go into 4x? How many times? 2. So what kind of 2? Plus 2. 2 times 2x is 4x. Remainder 0. Bring down the negative 14. How many times does 2x go into 14? It can't. What does that mean? I've got a remainder of negative 14. See how much easier that was? All right. So what do I get? What's my final answer? 6x plus 2 minus 14 over 2x. And if I really wanted to show off, I could actually simplify that. 7 over x. The best answer is 6x plus 2 minus 7 over x. Do you understand where the 7 over x came from? Divide numerator and denominator by 2. Easy? Once you get, if you know your division algorithm, this is not hard. Yeah? It's just keep the same process. The only part people mess up on is forgetting to subtract the whole thing. If you get that down, this is easy. Yeah? All right.